Assalamualaikum beauty viewers. The topic of today's video is etching. So in this video I am going to explain what really is etching and the process of etching. Okay, so I'm going to explain how to do the etching. Okay, so first of all you need to know what really is etching. So as you can see here, it is an armor of an ancient soldier. So as you have seen in the movies that the armor of the ancient soldier contains some designs on it. Okay, so how these designs are made? These designs are made through the process of etching. Okay, these designs are prepared through the process of etching. So in this video I'm going to explain what really is etching. Okay, so what is etching? Etching is the traditionally the process of using strong acid. Okay, it is actually the process of using strong acid or mordant to cut into the unprotected parts of a metal surface, okay, to create a design in the metal. Okay, to create a design in the metal. So how does it take place? First of all, if you have a metal, let's just say that this here is a metal. Okay, what we do first is to cover it with some material that is resistant to acid. Okay, what we do is to cover this metal surface with some material that is resistant to the acid, and the next thing we do is to cut the material from the places where we want our design to be etched. Okay, for example, if I cut the material from this place and from this place and from this place, okay, so and now if I place this in a beaker, in a place, in a container containing the acid, okay, so if I place this material in a container containing the acid, what happens? The acid will eat away the metal from here. Okay, the acid will eat away the metal from here, the acid will eat away the metal from here also. Okay, so the places which are not covered with my material will be eaten by the acid. Okay, so what is the function of the wax? What is the function of this material? The function of this material is to protect the metal from the acid, and if the places where this material is not present, like this place here where the material is not present, okay, like this place here, just I have written this place here, like here my material was not present, this was a hole in the material. So what happens? The acid goes through this hole and eats away the metal. Similarly, there was another hole in this material, the acid goes through this hole and eats away the metal. Similarly, the acid goes through this hole and eats away the metal, while the rest part of the metal remains intact. Okay, so this is the process that I'm going to describe. So first of all, what we have here is the process of using a strong acid or mordant to cut into the unprotected parts of a metal. Okay, what we do is to use the acid that will cut into the unprotected part of the metal to create a design, and what will happen? It will create a design, okay, in the metal, incised design. Okay, so in modern manufacturing, other chemicals may be used on other types of materials. Okay, in modern manufacturing, other chemicals may be used on other types of materials, like the method which I have told you just earlier was applied on a metal. Okay, this method that I have just told you earlier was applied on a metal. So I can say that this method can be applied on other types of material instead of metal. Okay, so the next thing I have is as a method of printmaking. As a method of printmaking, it is along with engraving the most important technique. Okay, so I can say that along with the method of engraving, etching is also a very old, a traditional technique that is still in use today. Okay, so in a number of modern variants such as microfabrication, etching and photochemical mining, okay, it is a crucial technique in modern technology, including the circuit boards. Okay, so this process of etching is still a crucial technique in the modern technology, including that of the circuit boards. Okay, so the next thing we have is the etching process. Okay, so next thing we have is etching process. Okay, so here is the process. Here, as you can see, that I have a container. Okay, this here is the container, and this container contains acid. Okay, this container contains the acid, and this here, okay, and this here is my metal. This here is my metal, and the on the top of it, this black colored layer is my waxy ground substance. Okay, and as you can see here, the waxy ground substance is not present there, there, and also there. Okay, the waxy ground substance is not present in these places. So what happens? The acid eats away the metal from the places where the waxy ground substance is not present. Okay, here, and here. Okay, so as the acid eats away the metal from these places, so what happens? I get a design on the surface of a metal. Okay, so in traditional pure etching, a metal, usually copper, zinc or steel plate, is covered with a waxy ground which is resistant to an acid. What happens next is the artist then scratches up the ground pointed etching needle where he or she wants a line to appear in finished piece, so exposing the bare metal. So what he do, he just cuts up the material and expose the bare metal. The plate is then dipped in a bath of acid. Technically called a mordant. So that acid is known as the mordant or etchant, has acid washed over it. The acid bites into the metal. What does acid do? The acid eats away the metal from the places which are exposed. Okay, so it dissolves the part of the metal where it is exposed, leaving behind lines sunk into the plate. Okay, the remaining ground is then cleaned off the plate. So after this process, the remaining ground material is cleaned off the plate. The plate is inked all over, and the plate is then inked all over, and then ink is wiped off the surface, leaving the ink in the etched lines. Okay, so what we do next after the process of heating away, we take out this piece of metal. Okay, we take out this piece of metal and then we place ink on it. Okay, the ink will go into these holes, into these areas that are created through the heating of the metal. Okay, so in this way the ink goes into the design that has been created by the designer. Okay, so the next thing we have is the plate is then put through a high pressure printing press together with a sheet of paper. The paper picks up the ink from the etched lines, making it a print. So what happens? The metal plate on which the design is carved, is placed together with a sheet of paper in high pressure printing press. Okay, the metal is placed with a sheet of paper in a high pressure printing press. So what happens? The paper picks up the ink from the etched lines, making a print. Okay, the paper picks up the ink from the etched lines. Okay, from the etched lines, from these lines, the paper picks up the inks from these lines and making it a print. Okay, the process can be repeated for many times. Typically several hundred impressions could be printed before the plate shows much sign of a wear. Okay, so this process is repeated many times, so at last we get a perfect design. So the next thing is the work on the plate can also be added by repeating the whole process. Okay, the work on the plate can also be added by repeating the whole process. This creates an etching which exists in more than one state. So that was the process of etching that I have just described in my video. So that was all for today's video. Inshallah, see you in the next video. Do not forget to like the video and subscribe the channel. Allah Hafiz.